Hi everyone, I'm David.
And I'm Leah, and this is Wine Forecaster.
Well, we have an opportunity today to try probably the most famous varietal, but yet the probably the least likely to be grown in the Finger Lakes, and that is
Cabernet Sauvignon.
Yeah. So, and the reason why is the terroir just really isn't right for Cabernet Sauvignon here in the Finger Lakes. As you saw from the earlier part of this summer, it rained a ton up here. And that just isn't good. It doesn't bode well for this grape. And it's the soil isn't, you want a real dry soil, and that doesn't work here. Anyhow,
suboptimal conditions.
Yeah.
But if anybody can grow it,
it's going to be Dr. Konstantin Frank, and we're trying their 2012 Cabernet Sauvignon, right?
Yeah.
Where are they?
So they're on Keuka Lake.
Yep, right on the west side.
Yeah.
And we've talked about them before. Yeah, who hasn't? Who doesn't know where they are, right?
Yeah.
Or who doesn't know about Dr. Konstantin Frank? So, but we're going to try something a little different. We're actually going to decant the wine. And if you're not familiar with decanting is when you use a glass decanter like this, or some sort of vessel, and we're going to pour the wine into it. And there's usually two reasons for decanting wine. If you have an older, usually like a Bordeaux or a Cabernet Sauvignon that's maybe 10 or 15 years old, you'll want to decant that because the tannin's going to settle to the bottom, and you want to get that out of your wine. You don't want to drink that.
So that's also called sediment.
Yeah.
So oftentimes when you pick up an older bottle, as David mentioned, you'll actually see some stuff right on the bottom. Although it's difficult oftentimes with these dark bottles to see, but you can actually see that grit.
Right. A lot of the newer, it used to be years ago, this was before all the filtering and fining came into play, that even newer bottles you'd have to decant them. But we're not going to have to worry about that with this one because it's only 2012.
Yeah.
But we're going to decant it for the other reason, which is it's a younger wine, and we want to get some oxygen in there and kind of let the wine open up. So we're just going to pour this. Why don't you go ahead and pour that right into the decanter, and you don't really have to be. You don't have to be gentle doing this. We want to just get that wine in there. Probably don't want to do this over your carpet.
Light colored carpet, definitely not.
Great. Yeah. Why don't you give that a good swirl? Well, you can lift it right up. Just give that a good swirl. Yeah. All right. Very good.
So some people would call this aerating, and there's all different types of decanters, but you can actually use something that's quite mundane. You don't have to use a special type of decanter that has a special shape or anything like that, right? It's more aesthetics than it is anything.
All right. So we'll give this a swirl anyhow. And again, the color on it.
It's like a ruby.
It is like a ruby red. Real pretty. So there's a tobacco nose to it.
Black cherry. And red cherry too in there.
Yeah, I get a black cherry. I definitely get the tobacco, a
Candied something in there.
It's got a powerful nose to it.
Yes.
Almost a little bit of a pepper.
It's actually quite a lovely nose. It's what, 13% alcohol?
It's 13%. That's what it says on the bottle.
I'm just starting to kind of get a little too much in my nasal passages. Tannic.
Now this is a dry red wine.
Yep.
And as we've mentioned before, with a lot of these dry wines, they're going to be different when you're tasting them just out of the glass versus when you're eating something with like meat, something a little bit of fat that coats, or even a hard cheese. It'll taste a lot different. I get a little bit of a blueberry taste to this.
I know we're not tasting a Pinot, but I do get a vegetal component to this, like a green pepper. I get black pepper also with this. It's very fruity in the beginning, but then it quickly changes to something that's very tannic. You kind of get that dry feeling in the top of your mouth, and it turns vegetal to me. I can imagine that this would go very well with something that has some fat to it.
Oh yeah.
You know, sausage, whatever. Even if you do this with hors d'oeuvres and things like that have some fat to it. My newest favorite hors d'oeuvre would be figs with bacon wrapped around them and put in the broiler, and you put a little bit of balsamic vinegar on there. It's great.
So you know we're gonna talk about pairing eventually, but you know if you're gonna have a steak, boy, this would go great. So Dr. Frank, I think, did a really good job with this, and I think it's $24.99. It's it's a little bit pricey, but you know, if you want to try out a decent Cabernet Sauvignon from the Finger Lakes, I'd recommend it. So
very good.
Okay, so this is Dr. Konstantin Frank, 2012 Cabernet Sauvignon. Thanks for joining us this evening. Hopefully you're having something great to eat with your wine. I'm David.
And I'm Leah. Thanks for joining us.